thanks to AI, we're seeing more of a real-time user experience in terms of web design. So your web design will be personalized based on what you want to see and how you consume and process that information, right? With intelligence and a lot of modeling, the user experience is going to be personalized just for you, as opposed to, here's my sitemap, go at it.
Welcome back to the High Ticket AI Systems Podcast. Everyone, please welcome one and only Mr. Ramsey Sweis. Ramsey, welcome to the show. Welcome to the
Thank
show.
you for having me, Jordan.
Thank you. Yes, sir. Happy to have you on, my friend. Happy to have you on. Now, can you please give the audience some context as to what the company does, what the company is, and who you guys serve best?
Sure, absolutely. First of all, thanks for having me on. Appreciate your show and appreciate your message. Um, we're a boutique digital advertising agency and consultancy. And we started our company back in 2004. We started off as a search engine marketing agency, and we sourced the web design. No one did it the way we liked. We went through 6 different agencies, et cetera. And through the evolution of the digital market as we know it, it was a natural progression to become web designers that supported high performance type digital activities, internet marketing. And then from there, we progressed to SEO because it was just a natural fit. And then we took control of social media and adopted AI. And then mobilization just kind of turned the industry upside down. And we had to hit the reset button and start all over again. So that's who we are of today. We're more of Aqaba Digital is a data-driven, results-oriented organization. And I know that's probably, cliche, but we're truly data-driven. Everything we do in digital is data. It's hard to track and monitor traditional mediums such as TV, print, radio, but everything that's digitized, we can track. And that's our area of expertise. And that tells us how to build a better mousetrap, how to have more of predictable, measurable outcomes for our clients, and having a data driven and analysis driven mindset. We're able to leverage all of that data into more meaningful outcomes and optimize for the highest possible yields within our care.
I want to say a few things. Number one, it's not cliche at all, your slogan, the company mission. Number two is if you are not making decisions based on data and purely gut feelings, you are guessing at what is going to work. And even worse, when something does work, you don't know why. Or when something fails, you don't really know why. Why? Because you're not tracking the data. Third thing, the data is the playbook as to what to do next, right? Okay, if I notice that these are my numbers here, and this was the marketing campaign that led to these numbers, I should either continue to do this or not do this, or make fine adjustments along the way. And I don't know why people don't look at the data like that, but I don't know, man. Just as a business owner, it's non-freaking negotiable. Where do you feel like with the clients that you guys onboard that they're just not getting it?
Business intelligence. They're caught up in the task. You got mid-market. We're more of our sweet spot is mid-market to entry point of enterprise. For us to perform at our best, that's what we target. We're not for the very small business because they tend to not have the budgets or the patience or the capacity to do what needs to be done for us to perform. So usually in that spectrum of business that we target, we find the greatest results, and it's like a catapult, right? Its trajectory is quite quick and high because they have the data. And let's silo that data into separate containers. So you have upstream. There's traffic that exists. Where is it? Why is it? And how is it that we find it? That's our job, part of our onboarding process, right? And then there's on-page. How does on-page operate? Well, if you don't have the data that's collected within the form of analytics or some sort of measurable utilities, you don't know what happens on page. And then there's downstream, what happens downstream. So as they exit the site, why did they exit? Where did they exit to? And when did they exit? Just in simplistic form. So we create that ecosystem that addresses all of these points of entry and exits and on page. And then we construct a reverse engineering approach. And then prior to that, in part of our onboarding process, we deliver what's called a digital roadmap, and this roadmap is unique to our processes and business analyses and business insights. Right? We've worked with so many different industries that we're able to collect this data and leverage it into a best practices based on the outcomes, and then build it from there. So if we want to land here, we know that to get to this goal, the following things need to happen. We backtrack it. How do they convert? Let's address conversion, right? Are you nurturing it? What happens after the conversion? So that's one point. And then back it all the way down to the advertising. Well, if you start from the very end trigger, right, that tripwire, that defines your content, that defines your sales page, that defines your SEO keywords, that defines what's performing best, your keywords for paid ads, social media, and what's mainstream. Because what you think was working a year ago, I can tell you right now, it's not working today. Not as good as it could be or should be.
I love having guests like you on the show because you clearly know what the hell you're talking about. The way that I might butcher this, but I think you'll understand that if you truly want to unlock real scale and go from mid-market to enterprise, like everything has to be dialed in. And when I say everything, getting back to your reverse engineering process, there are many steps in the entire funnel or in the entire client acquisition process. And if we can increase the efficiency across the board, right, by 5%, let's just say we double 2x, maybe even 10x the entire funnel, in this wide example. And then furthermore, because I know you always can't increase efficiency by 2.5 or 5% across the board,
That's nonsense.
you want to ask yourself, which one would be the easiest to double, or which one would be the easiest to cut in half if it's something that needs to be cut in half? And I think if we can, as business owners, founders, marketing agencies, if we can look at that and constantly focus on those two numbers, two data points, I think we'll be okay. What's your feedback with that?
Yeah, I mean, it's not a service. It's a business problem that we're solving, right? We're not providing a service. We're here to fix that problem. And it may be to go from just performing okay and happy to high performance, right? Highly performing sales pages, highly performing ads and ad copy. And that's where working with a seasoned team really makes a difference, because they're going to get you there much quicker, more efficiently, and turn around your cost per acquisition, maybe by reduction or maybe by increasing traffic for the same ad spend, which the outcome would be more sales or conversions. So it's a challenge, because each business, we may focus on the same industry. Say, for example, two manufacturers, same industry, aerospace. They have completely different problems because you have different skill sets and different understanding of marketing. One may have a marketing plan, the other may not. So what do I do for A that I'm not doing for B, and vice versa? I can't tell you that. I can't take A and apply it to B or vice versa. I have to build out A and I have to build out B based on their business goals, their objectives, and their budget, right? So how do we do that? Do they have a CRM? Do they have an invoicing system? Are they active in social media? Do they have layers of automation and integrations to third-party utilities? Do they have to comply with their, maybe call it their OEMs as their clients? Aerospace is it's not a highly forgiving industry, very tight tolerance, right? For obvious reasons. So we have to think along those lines. So to do that, we need the data. So if they don't have a CRM, they don't have an ERP system, they don't have a customer management utility, and they don't have data analytics, well, then we have to lean on assumptions and high business intelligence, the know-how, how to make those assumptions and how to stand behind them or to fetch that information so we can come close to center on each milestone. So through that waterfall process, it'll vary from A to B, client A, client B. Does that kind of help paint the picture there? Because that's where most agencies fail, because they're really good creatives, but horrible at business intelligence and understanding business systems.
Makes total sense. And you only know that, I don't want to call it intuition because it is intelligence, but you only know that after years in the trenches, right? Of walking into or working with a client that doesn't have any data at all. And you have to take an educated guess as to why it is this way, like why the numbers are this way, why the revenue is this, XYZ. What, initially, before our words, right? Initially, before we hit, start here, we were talking about the softwares that are utilized to track this data. Do you mind if it's proprietary? No, no need to share. But if you could, what software right now is the company using to actually acquire really good data?
Well, let's define data. So are we integrating with the POS system? Does the POS have its own, data bank that we're able to access and look at data points that turn into data sets or modeling? Do you have a CRM? Is it website analytics? Like if we were to start, what would that starting point be?
Um, you got it. You can answer that. Guess.
All right. Uh, so, objectively speaking, it would be the website, because ultimately the website is what's going to integrate and drive data to all of those other tools and utilities. So if it's a restaurant, usually there's so many different POS systems. We want to make sure that whatever we're working on doesn't break, that we're not breaking the connection. So we'd want to access that data. We'd want to work with their support team, and those utilities are quite vast. So each would require a different set of use cases, and we'll work side by side with the SaaS provider.
Gotcha.
Google Analytics for the website, number one. There's a whole suite of Google utilities that we will use. There are third-party type applications. If it's e-commerce, we'll look at something more robust. If it's not, if it's a sales page, then we'll try to utilize what they have within their brand, or elements within their brand or style guide. So we'll take all of those into effect and find the best utility that will assist us with reaching our goals. But for example, Google Analytics, GA4, conversion tracking, right? And possibly a third party utility. If it's e-commerce, they usually have their own stack, internal stack, but we want to connect and share that data so it's more robust and more realistic. Um, for example, HubSpot is a really good CRM hybrid analytics utility that allows you the ability to build a sales page. We use SharpSpring. We use SharpSpring because it's a bit more robust and has a lot of other utilities. Since Constant Contact acquired them several years back, it's become quite a mainstay for us in everything that we do. And we're big on sales data too. So we like to have that layer of sales data in addition to analytics. But we do a lot of outbound, and in that outbound effort, the outreach data, like say email blasts or email campaigns, newsletter, promotions, notifications, and automations, all reside within one platform, which means we collect all that data underneath one umbrella, and that data is not shared. So there's no potential skewing or selection of what data is important to Google that's not important to SharpSpring, and vice versa. So
Yeah,
yeah,
c- continue. No, you're on a roll right now.
yeah, that's one example. So then we dovetail that into a sales page, and we use our outbound So I can actually call up you if you're on our list. Then we'll go in and we'll click on your profile and pull up your entire history. What email was sent, which was opened, what was not opened, duration of time spent if it was referred by a click in that newsletter, what was clicked, why was it clicked. That's the data that we can control. Guess what happens on the next email or promotion? We take that intelligence, we optimize it, and we build a better user experience with engagements that are most likely, assuming, most likely going to improve slightly. It's just a constant evolution over time if you own the data.
Speaking of owning the data, something that we do internally is every week we look at our email campaigns across all of our clients and we identify which angles are working, right? Like not only which ones are working, but which angles are actually converting into the sales that we want, not just positive replies, not just bookings, but like actual sales. And then what we do is we just create more angles around around the winning angle. Like, why would I not do that? The challenging thing that I would love to kind of pick your brain on is getting all these systems to like talk to each other, right? Because I use one software for this, one software for that, one software for this, and this one for that over there. And like, sure, we like duct tape them together, like you said, but like, I feel like there might be a better way. What you're describing, did you build an internal software for this, or is it a software out there that you use and you just connect really well with API keys and whatnot?
Yeah, well, I think it's best to work with something that's proven, highly secure, especially if it's a SaaS product. It's hosted. So to build that out and then try to personalize it for each one of our clients is just not cost effective and not our area of expertise. So that would be my recommendation is to try and find a utility that checks most of your boxes and allows some sort of API integration that you can take that API and connect it to the various different platforms or e-commerce or maybe, for example, HubSpot has a really nice suite of integrations that allows for most common and mainstream products that it just by a click of a button, you're off to the races.
Gotcha. Yeah, no, I heard HubSpot's a good one. Question, if you don't mind, are you vertical or industry agnostic, or do you like to work with specific verticals because that's like your bread and butter?
Agnostic.
Agnostic.
We do tend to get more challenging projects in the manufacturing, healthcare, logistics, finance,
And
and
why do you
B2B.
why do you feel like that is outside of B2B, the ones that you just listed, or okay, we can continue because they're all B2B as well. Why do you feel like they're more challenging projects? I'm curious.
How do you sell a manufacturing service,
Amen. Right?
right?
I have no idea.
Yeah. Versus, I broke my leg. I know what I'm going to do. That's behavioral now. Local, right? I'm not looking for the state, adjoining state, or three or four counties down. I'm looking for local.
Right. So it sounds to me like local service businesses might be a better one. A mid-size going on to enterprise, local service businesses maybe. And I'm asking on behalf of the audience in case somebody out there is listening.
Yeah. So a small local business may have one footprint where a chain franchise may have multiple. And then usually that's baked into their licensing fee where they're providing that as a service, and we work with firms like that really well. And their biggest problem is having all these different like tentacles, right? And they're all over the country or even outside of the country. We have some clients that franchise outside of the U.S. And so we come up with solutions that dovetail into their business that they don't have to worry about it, but it's accounted for. And however their franchise advertising and marketing budget is structured.
Understood. Understood. Okay. What do you feel like is working in today's space when it comes to on-page results? I got the website pulled up. Some of the stuff that you guys done is really, really pretty. Looks really, really good. of course. But we could talk about ad copy and like getting people on the website. That's a whole different ballgame. But when they're on the website, right? What do you feel like are some best practices?
Trust, verification, um, some sort of edification where it's a third party signal that recommends you, or maybe it could be as simple as reviews, depending on the type of business. B2C, reviews are good. Some B2B, the reviews are good. Google is a number one. But having trust signals on your website, UX on that sales page, so your user experience, you don't want your impact statement mid or at the bottom of the page. You need to connect with your audience. It needs to resonate with them on above the fold the moment they arrive to that page, right? And then the very next would be a trust signal, or it's within your header or hero banner. So and then your sublines, um, and subheadings and sublines should also be very targeted, and it's your impact statement and then how it applies. And then from there would be another trust signal where you may have certifications, endorsements, reviews, and then your services. But your services, we invert our services, but it's more problem listing that we solve the following problems, because everyone's doing services. There's no differentiator, right? So we take that approach versus what's already residing within your navigation, your sitemap.
I actually want to go back to what you said. You said there's no differentiation between, X company and Y company, if more or less they're the exact same, right? Like because of the website or like the reviews, whatever. Uh, I wasn't the biggest fan of this idea, Ramsey, but as I'm getting older, more experience, more years in business, damn, is it true? But really building a connection with the audience or really building a strong brand and like getting that message out there. It's like I'm doing business with this roofing company because of what their mission is, because of the content that they put out, because that's human. Sure, I can read your website, right? But those are words and it lacks the human connection. But if I consume a video by you, it's like, this is real authentic. I get a taste of the company a bit more. That trust factor is being built. Have you experienced that recently now more than ever with AI being here and just a lot of, stuff like that?
Yeah, I mean the AI is starting to build some clout. I don't believe they've earned their street creds yet, and there's a lot of hallucination, and we need to be careful, because if there's hallucination, which happens often, uh, whatever that ad is may not be in your best interest based on the output, the
Yeah.
result of that GPT query, right?
No, for sure. 100%. Yeah. Human in the loop with like a lot of the stuff if it's customer facing or client facing, there's a human in the loop 100% of the time because AI
Yes.
is like dumb as hell sometimes. It's,
Yeah.
it's weird. Interesting. Okay. I have to ask, like, I guess what was the background before I get into this here? Like, obviously, you know your shit. Very intelligent guy. Did you work in industry and
Thanks,
instead of
brother. Actually, I come with 12 years prior automotive engineering experience, and so I worked in military vehicles, and European vehicles, Latin American vehicles, and American market.
now you're more?
Uh, did that for 12 years, and my core strength is project management and BI, and I have an eye for design, and I love cars. But I left the industry and got involved in a tech startup out of San Francisco. Took it public. It was a reverse acquisition. Went public, and then the bubble burst, and so I returned to Michigan. It took about a year off and went on a 1 year hiatus and try to figure out what it is I want to do with my career, and what can I leverage that I feel are strengths. And during my term in Argentina, I worked side by side with Yahoo Argentina, and they introduced this thing in 1998 called paid advertising on their search, when they used to be a search engine company, right? And so I took that year off and called my friends in Argentina and said, I'm thinking of this search engine marketing and paid clicks. What's the future look like for that industry? Do you really see browsers being a utility for us people on day-to-day basis? And they said yes. And in the meantime, Google was building itself, trying to figure out how it was going to corner the market, and it just blew up. So I was involved. I got very lucky in being in the right place at the right time, and in the auspices of that industry, we scaled and grew very quickly. And as a result, because of paid advertising, I decided to make a shift and stay in the tech because I love tech, and I was in tech, CAD design and very technical space for 12 years. It was just to me, it was just a natural evolution. It was a progressive thing that I felt that the direction that had to be taken for me, and that's how I started my company.
Makes so much more sense, man. And I'm a firm believer, right? Like if you aren't growing as a human being, if you aren't like adapting and getting better, then like I feel like you're doing yourself a disservice. And to me, it looks like you've clearly grown, right? You acquired the skills, probably through college, put your time in industry, had a crazy idea, and it worked out for you. But you're still utilizing the skills that you previously learned. So hats off to you, my man.
Thank you.
Of course. With that being said, what do you feel like is next for the company? Any big projects going on? Anything new the company's looking to adopt or anything over the next like 12, 24 months?
Lots of interesting stuff. Funny you ask.
Yeah, talk to us. I like that.
Oh, we have an AI project that we're building out an LLM. It's in healthcare and pharmaceutical. It's an amazing, amazing company, and what they're doing is top notch. And it's my entry to changing the world for everyone, for humanity and mankind, and I'm involved in it. So to me, it's very personal, and I'm very blessed to have that opportunity and be surrounded by people far greater and intelligent than me, and greater skills and intelligence than I, and I'm in it. So I feel like I'm starting all over again, and I have the same viv and vigor, and I'm on fire daily. So I love it. That's one. The other, in terms of services, we see, thanks to AI, we're seeing more of a real-time user experience in terms of web design. So your web design will be personalized based on what you want to see and how you consume and process that information, right? With intelligence and a lot of modeling, the user experience is going to be personalized just for you, as opposed to, here's my sitemap, go at it.
That would be impressive. You said that's the thing that you guys are looking to accomplish? Because when you do that, yes, that is going to crush.
Technology hasn't quite gotten there yet, but it's headed that way at a rapid speed. And I do see that being the replacement or upgrade, if you will, for websites.
And this is what I mean. Like, will AI take jobs? I mean, whatever, sure. But like, I think the bigger thing to look at here is like the companies that are going to fail or go bankrupt is because the other company utilized AI better than you did. There's no way in the world you're not personalizing a website without utilizing AI per user experience, you know? So like once you crack that code, you guys are going to be pretty set, my friend.
Look at the evolution of the cell phone. You don't see people walking around with a shoe phone anymore, right?
Right.
Big rubber antenna. Like, those days are gone. You don't see home phones anymore. Who's got a phone on their wall with the big, long, 12-foot curly cord? Nobody. Fax machines, gone, right? So garage openers, gone. You can do it through your app, and it's built into the car. It's just a natural progression for, the betterment of mankind. It's horse and carriage. When was the last time you pulled up in your car at the stoplight and saw a horse and carriage next to you?
Right.
It's just lightning speed.
For sure. I'm excited, you know? It sounds like you are as well. And one more thing I want to say, when you're working with like a meaningful mission project, like that means way more than any dollar amount that you'll ever earn from that. So that's super cool to know. And it sounds like you're in the right rooms. You know, everyone, quote unquote, smarter than you, a legend in this space, as you say. So I'm curious to know kind of what that is, but we'll keep it. We'll keep it on the low for now. But
Can't tell you everything.
right. And that's super cool to know that that is the next step for you guys.
So let me ask you a question, Jordan. Let me turn the table on you.
All right.
How do you see your business within your industry changing within the next 3 to 5 years?
Three
Are
to
you prepared for it?
That's a very good question. I actually just wrapped up a podcast, and he asked me, if your current system fails, what's next? And I kind of had two answers. So to be transparent, we essentially utilize cold email for client acquisition,
Mm-hmm.
and that has already changed rapidly over the course of like 3 to 5 years previously. So my answer to that was just two other avenues, two other channels, right? Cold calling and LinkedIn, if we have to. But to answer your question, in the next 3 to 5 years, if it, dude, that's a good question, man. I mean, it is a scary thought. I want to say, I hope in the next 3 to 5 years, I would have enough, sure, client results and trust built up in the market. And preferably, I would have gotten really good at building AI systems. And my product and service is significantly better than my competitor. Like, hopefully that's like what happens, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. AI is everything to everyone. They just don't know it yet.
No, for sure. Absolutely. And I think people are running from it because it might be a scary thing, but like, I don't think it's going anywhere. I think I mean, you can use a hammer for good or bad, right? And I really feel like AI for the business purposes, it is really a good tool that not only helps the company grow, but it helps the end user because then they get what they want, right? Like that's not the whole power of, goods and services, right? Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
anyways,
Rock and roll used to be a bad thing, right? It was a sin to listen to rock and roll.
and people love that.
Still around. The internet was evil. It's still around, right? Um, Facebook has its challenges, but it's still around. I mean, that's the 800-pound gorilla in the room, right? It's not going anywhere. You can't avoid it.
For sure. Great conversation, Ramsey. If they wanted to explore your work, where can they find you, my friend?
Aqaba Digital, and you can always hit me up on LinkedIn. I'm a big contributor to LinkedIn, and I love the challenge.
I love it. Ramsey, thanks for joining us, my friend. We'll talk to you soon.